Hey, I'm Delise.
And I'm Jenny.
We know that parenting comes in seasons, and even the smallest wins deserve a happy dance.
Join us as we chat with moms in every stage of the parenting journey, fixing our eyes on Jesus each step of the way.
This is Blessings and Motherhood, because we believe that you can hold tissues and confetti at the same time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Blessings in Motherhood. Today's episode is all about navigating feelings, big feelings in a biblical way. We got to talk to Kamilah Carter, a mom of 5 kids, so she's been there and done that, and she has a lot of wisdom on this subject.
Let's get into the show. Kamilah, welcome to Blessings in Motherhood.
Thank you for having me. Very excited.
We're so excited to talk. I heard you speak on Lisa Bailey's podcast, The Everyday Educator. That's the first time I've ever heard about you. But for our listeners, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Kamilah Carter. I have 5 kids. We have been doing CC since the dark age. No, I'm just joking. Since I don't know. We've always done CC, and my oldest is about to graduate this year. He's challenge 4, so all the math people can do that with their algebras. And we have. I've done everything that there is to do in communities. If they ask me, I say yes, because I really love the model of CC, and I really always want a community for my kids to attend. So I've been a foundations tutor, a foundations director, an essentials tutor. Like, I've done it all. I've done every challenge level with my kids moving up. And I'm going to start again next year. I don't know what I'm going to do next year.
So I'm coming to you with all my questions once my kids get up to the challenge years, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous.
You'll love the challenge. You know, essentials is the perfect gap. Once you go through essentials, you're like chomping at the bit to get to challenge. You feel all these like insecurities and foundations. Are there holes? Are there gaps? Is it enough? All this stuff. And then you get in essentials and you're like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. He's so smart. You know, it's all these things you experience. I find that if you make it through the essentials levels too, a lot of reluctant like dads like are fully on board after essentials. Yeah. They're like, all right, I see what we're doing now. It takes a while for some of them, but by the time you get second year essential, you're going to be like, I'm probably going direct challenge A.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, remind me, I know you said you have a senior. So what are the other ages of your children right now?
I do. So I have a senior. That's my son. And then I have 2 girls, challenge 1 and challenge B. And then I have another son in Foundations and Essentials. He's a second year. And my baby girl is a Foundations and first year Essentials student.
Oh, wow, already. What in the world?
Chaos in my heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump right in here. I want to go to that episode where you were with Lisa Bailey on Everyday Educator. You said something that has stuck with me since I listened to that episode. You were talking about feelings within children. And you just said, you've got children in lots of different ages and stages. And when you talk about your feelings, you said that you ask them, what do you need me to know about what you are thinking, feeling, or experiencing? And I just thought that was brilliant. Could you unpack that a little bit for me?
I think so. I grew up in with a single parent. My mom just was my mom. So my feelings mattered in as much as like she didn't want me to feel bullied by anybody. She didn't want me to feel belittled. She wanted me to always know that I was capable. But beyond that, it didn't really matter, right? Like if I felt like this was unjust, if I felt like I didn't want to do so, none of these things really mattered. Like, do what you're supposed to do and hush. And my husband came from kind of that same lifestyle, if you will. So when we had our kids, I think we realized when my oldest was about 3 or 2, maybe he was little. Yeah, 2. Like he was a human being. And I know that's like, it's not like a revelation, but it was for us. We think of kids as like kids, but I don't even remember what it was, but we were watching him and I was like, he is really emotional about this. And so from then we really started to try to see them as like people outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when our kids are going through things, it's easy to just say, like, you are being so snappy and so irritable right now. It's easy to diagnose. It's a lot more difficult to actually enter in and ask a child what they're going on, what's going on with them and what they're experiencing. And I found that as I seek to like get into that space, my kids don't even have the language to tell me, which is how we get adults who can't express their feelings, right? Like when I met my husband, I always joke, he had one emotion and it was mad. So like everything, we would be like, the food would be taking long. This is making me mad. Like, the doctor comes in the room too much. This is making me mad. It's cold in here. It's making me mad. Like that was his only emotion. And so we really had to like teach our kids a language of emotions. And I find that has helped us in navigating all of their relationships with each other, their relationship with schoolwork, right? In practicum, they talk about like, I hate math. I've never been a math person. And then I learned in practicum, it wasn't that I wasn't a math person. It was that I felt insecure about math. That's where that came from. And so as I try to work with my kids in all of the facets of life, finding out where they are as human beings on God's earth has really, really helped me fail more as a mom, but be a better mom. Strive to be better, but fail more.
Yeah. And also understand your kids more and learn more about them and who they are and their personalities.
Yeah. Can we get super granular? Because, I'm at the stage where I have one and he's two. And honestly, because this is becoming more trendy and more popular to talk with your children about feelings, it is something that I do, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to act like I know what I'm doing. So I've been trying to, give him a vocabulary for feelings. We have a little chart where I'm like this angry, disappointed, confused, scared, just different things. But what did that look like for you when you realized, okay, my son is a human being with vibrant feelings and they need a vocabulary? How do you teach them the vocabulary? What does that look like?
So for me, it was about like asking a lot of questions, right? We as women, especially, we're very familiar with our bodies, right? You can feel your blood pressure rising when your husband says like a certain sentence, right? You hear a door slam after you told a kid, don't come in, and like you can feel your heartbeat. So we're very in tune with our bodies. And so just trying to give that to my husband and my kids, like, hey, you're saying that you're mad right now, but what's going on? And they're like, well, she's making me so mad. She's not listening to me. She's so mad. She's making me mad. Like, what's happening? And then I'm like, oh, you're not being heard by your sister. Does that make you feel sad because you want to be friends with her and she's treating you like your friendship isn't important? Oh, you're sad right now. And, so that's really walking them through the process of like, tell me what your body is doing. Okay, well, let's give that a name that we can glorify God with, right? Because if we just make everything, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, like, then that's the end of it. You know what I mean? But like, if we can identify a place of brokenness, then that's when we can take that to Jesus, right? So that's really what I try to do is I try my best.
Yeah.
I fail a lot. I'm a very emotional person too, right? So yeah.
We're about to get into that actually, because that's the next question. Because with that, I feel like a lot of what you just described, like a term that we can glorify God with, something we can take to Jesus, is what it looks like to walk the gospel out with our children.
Yeah.
Because, of course, your children may be in all varying levels of whether or not they understand the gospel, even know this concept that you mean by God, or maybe they're believers, like you've got a whole slew, but you're a believer. And so you can model that for your children. So what has that looked like over the years? You trying to walk honestly with your emotions before your children while maintaining healthy boundaries, because we all know you don't need to dump it, on the kid. But what does that look like? Because it sounds like you are also helping them see, okay, this is what it looks like when mommy's going through this.
So the first thing, I can't even have this conversation without the Corrie ten Boom story. You guys know what I'm talking about? The suitcase so in the book, she's riding the train with her dad and she's younger. She asks him about sex. And he's like, okay. And he gives her his suitcase. And he's like, hey, can you carry this for me? And she's like, it's too heavy. What are you talking about, Dad? You know I can't carry this. And he's like, exactly. I would be a bad dad if I expected you to carry something that I knew was too heavy for you. So all of my kids, we've read the book. They know this. So for us, like, there's lots of suitcase issues, right? So if I am experiencing something and my kids are like, what? Tell us, right? Because I have two daughters who are, they think we're peers. And so they're like, just tell me what's going on. And so that has been a savior for me. I'm like, listen, baby, this is a suitcase issue. I don't want to discuss this with you. I love you. Thank you for caring. We're not going to talk about this more. Right. And sometimes even with my older kids, I will say that to them. Hey, she's 9. This is a suitcase issue. Yeah. Right. And so then they know, let me stop having this conversation in front of my younger sibling. Let me not process my emotions in front of my younger sister. So that is the first way. I always, that's one of our easy ways to throw up a boundary without being in the middle of Walmart. Like, I'm not going to tell you about,
Yeah.
But also be like, you have to be around your kids a lot, right? So just the ability to say, like, hey, I'm going to take this one child away and do it one-on-one has been a major blessing in my life. I have 5 kids, right? Anytime, I'm an introvert. So anytime 5 people are talking to me at once, like, I'm immediately praying that the Lord would take me. Like, just do it now, Jesus. I don't want to be in this situation. But the ability to say, hey, you guys do this. I need to go talk with David for just a minute has been, and David and I will just go out and hang out on the trampoline for a little while. And then that's where we can unpack. So I feel like finding actual private places that you can make safe has been really, really beneficial.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How do you think you've been able to cultivate in your children? For instance, them being able to feel that they can express their feelings to you when you do maybe take them off to the side, that they can share their emotions maybe without feeling like they're going to be punished in that, because sometimes kids, they start crying. Oh, mommy, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. That's okay. And how did you create that?
I think the first thing that I had to do was divorce my achievement as a mother with whatever my kids were going through, which was really difficult for me. Like, I felt like a great mom when my kids were well behaved and the birthday party was really, really cute and the dresses were good and the bows were like, I felt like, see, look at me killing it. Right. And then, check me out. But then when my kids would do, themselves, I would be like, you are ruining the aesthetic. And so it was very, and then that made me, that showed my sin. So really just my own repentance first of like, okay, I can't even save these kids. I don't even have the ability to do that for them. So at the very least, I can let them be genuinely who they are and show them how to get to the one that can save them. So that was the first step, is realizing that this sin that my child struggled with did not mean that I didn't tell them the gospel. Like, because you're struggling with that sin did not mean that I trained you to disobedience. That took a long time to really, that truth to sink into my heart. I probably still war with that, right? My son's a senior and he will say things and I will feel this panic of like, you're not ready yet. You can never leave this house. That's what you think. That's the wrong thing, So just once I divorced that, right? Because that's where that panic happens. You guys have little kids, right? So know when you hear those feet and you're like, he's about to climb on that cabinet again. He's trying to get to the knife. He's just like, and that little anxiety shoots up. And that's why you yell, right? As a mom, that's why you're like, get out right now. That's where that comes from. It's like, I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. So once I said, these are human beings that are sinful, and if the Lord doesn't save them, then they won't be saved. Then it enabled me to be like, tell me what's going on with you, just like I would with you or you just like I would with somebody at community. I don't feel that burden with other people. It's just my kids. So once I saw them as like souls in need of a savior, it freed me from feeling like it was all on me. And so that makes it a lot easier, right? When your 15-year-old is saying stuff to you and you're like, this is the wrong thing. Who is even your mom? Like, it makes it easier to see them as a person and not like all of my failures are in this moment. Let's make this about me.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? I feel like it was rambling. Sorry.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you made me think of my oldest is 8. So
Mhm.
we have big feelings right now, and
Yes.
we're learning
Yes.
a lot. And he has been able to have those feelings and ask me, "Mommy, can we go talk? Can I explain why I'm mad?" or something like that. And I
Mhm.
was like, "Wow, I must have done something right." Like, I was trying to pin it on
Yeah.
me, but
Yeah.
it's really not. He feels safe, and he gets to that point where he says, "I'm just really angry, Mom, and I don't know why."
Mhm.
And he's able to tell me that. And I just start asking questions. And I think for me, that's where I found that he feels safe, is because I don't tell him, "Well, you're wrong," or "No, you shouldn't feel like that." I say, "Well, let's
Mhm.
figure this out." And I just start asking him questions about what he's feeling. And then by the end of the conversation, he's realizing like, "Oh, I just miss daddy," or, "Oh, I just want to go home. I'm tired."
Mm.
And it's able to help them figure those feelings out, knowing that it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Follow-up question.
Mhm.
Again, from the one who's not quite doing it yet, which let me give Leo the credit that he does deserve. He can and he does say, "I'm so frustrated. I'm
Yay.
angry. I'm scared," whatever. He'll say it. But later on down the road, I know there will be times where, let's say, you tell the truth. Yes, you lit the thing on fire. It's on fire, it's gone. And you did it, and you come to me and you confess. Or, you've drawn all over this priceless thing, and I'm not going to be able to get it off.
Mhm.
On the one hand, I feel like what we're saying is yes, we want our children to be able to trust us and to be able to come to us with the real thing. On the other
Mhm.
hand, you can't get away with that. Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
so,
Amen.
so what is the mindset that you put on as a parent when you're like, I want to make sure you understand you're not being punished for the truth, but this thing
Mhm.
that happened, it's just not going to fly. How do you
Mm.
explain that to them? How do you make sure they're not confused?
Okay. So as soon as you were talking, there's a phrase that I say in my mind. Apparently, I live my life by phrases. Bathsheba's
Good.
baby still died, right?
Mm.
Remember when see, I'm so weird, right? Remember when King David and
Yeah.
Bathsheba, and then he's freaking out, the baby's sick, and all the servants are like, you go tell him. I ain't telling him. Who's going in there? Not me, right? And then David's like, what? Did the baby die? He's like, yes.
Mhm.
Then David gets up and he's still king, but the baby still died. That
Mhm.
was still a consequence. That was still a judgment. It didn't
Mhm.
change his status as king.
Mhm.
It didn't, as king, it didn't change his relationship with God. That
Mhm.
was a consequence that he had to endure on this earth
Mm.
because of his actions. And so
Mm.
a lot of times I say that to my kids, baby, I love you. Thank you
Mm.
so much for telling me the truth. Like,
Yeah.
you are helping our relationship stay strong. At least I know I can trust you. I
Mhm.
expect you to sin because we're sinners, but at least
Mhm.
I know that you value our relationship enough to not destroy it with lies.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
being said, you absolutely won't be going to any more football, right? Like, so you
Yeah.
Right.
absolutely will be
Yeah.
in this house. I have a child downstairs right now who hasn't had a phone since June. It's
Mhm.
mine. You
Mhm.
you have failed. It's my phone. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so there's still consequences in this life. And a
Mhm.
lot of times, my husband will say, um, a police officer won't care. A police officer won't negotiate with you about a consequence. So I'm not going to do that either. Like, we are training you to leave here one day. And
Mhm.
Exactly.
if there's only grace, we're lying to them about the gospel as well.
Mhm.
Because that's not the gospel. That's not. He's still the God of wrath too. There's still
Mm.
consequences in this life. There's a reason. So
Mhm. Grace and
whole,
truth.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say whole counsel of scripture. That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to.
That's good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, there's wisdom in every stage, and we just talked about like different stages of feelings, right? You've got the older ones, we've got some younger ones navigating through those big feelings. We can read books about stages, and knowing your kids really helps you evaluate their needs at a current stage. And I think I heard you say too in that podcast, like the mystical easier stage doesn't exist.
Oh
Um,
man, I'm waiting for it.
Especially with feelings. So, can you let us into a little bit of that?
Yeah, when they're babies, you're like, oh, if he could just tell me what he was feeling, then it would be easier. And then they're like 3, and you're like, stop telling me about your feelings, bro. Like everything is like, you're frustrating me. You're not listening, mommy. I don't like these, right? And you're like, hey, I don't enjoy
We're
that.
good.
Yeah. And then they turn like 6, and it's like, all of the like everything is so exciting for those people with the lisps and the missing front teeth. Like they're just everything is so exciting, and that makes me so happy. Can we watch that? Can we do that? Can we? You're like, bro, like let's everybody take a deep breath and not too much on mommy, please. And then by the time they're preteens, right, they get in that like nothing. My friend calls it the black hole, right, where it's like smile. Gosh, I just hate pictures so much. You just want 50,000 pictures, right? Oh my gosh, spaghetti again. I just feel like this is all we eat. Like we haven't had spaghetti in 2 months. Like you're just a hater, right? They get in that stage. All of those, you're waiting and waiting and waiting for it to become easier. And one day you look at your husband and you're like, you haven't even gotten to the easy stage yet. Like you're talking to your friends about your emotions and you're like, I'm not even at the easy stage yet. So you might as well just chalk that up. Stop waiting. You're lying to yourself. The easy stage is when we get to heaven and we see Jesus face to face and all the other sin falls away. And we're like, oh, now I feel easy because I'm doing the thing that I just long to do. And that is just worship all day. But if you're talking to a person, you're in the hard stage. Just accept that. Embrace it.
Yeah. It's a different hard stage every season, and
I
don't ever want to wish.
Once you nail it, that's how you know you're about to go to the next season.
Once you feel comfortable.
Yeah, once you're like, oh, I'm killing this. Like I am in charge around here. Then somebody's going to wake up the next day like, I'm a new person now.
Yes, I've decided.
Yeah, I feel like that happened with my littlest is 2, and when he was 1, he was sleeping through the night. I was like, this is great. And I feel like as soon as I felt that way, he starts waking up again and literally just bringing himself downstairs and coming in our bed. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're sleeping through the night. Where are we? Brand new stage of life. We're finally almost 3. And just now, I mean, it's been about a year, he's finally starting to sleep through the night again. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is it coming? But I'm like, what's going to be hard next? Like, I'm just waiting. But I think we have to remind ourselves too that as parents, as mothers, yes, it's challenging. There's always going to be something challenging, but it's so worth it. Like these little people are a blessing from the Lord. And no matter what we're facing, no matter what they're going through or we're going through, but it's a gift from God. And it's just to refine us and bring us closer to Him.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, listen up, Blessings in Motherhood families. Mark your calendars for our annual National Events Weekend from May the 2nd to the 4th, 2024 in sunny Southern Pines, North Carolina. This is presented by Classical Conversations Foundation, and it's a time for CC families from around the nation to experience together 3 full days of events, learning about classical education and celebrating the hard work of fellow families on the homeschooling journey. Some of the major events in the lineup this year are our beloved national conference, where you can hear talks from homeschool leaders like Lee and Robert Bortons and listen to a graduate and parent panel. We've also got national commencement. This is our official graduation ceremony for Challenge graduates and their parents. And last but not least, we also have National Memory Master. This is a championship where 16 foundations finalists will compete for the esteemed National Memory Master title and a grand prize of $10,000. Plus, there's also a ton more on the agenda, from food trucks to fun celebration and even an outdoor adventure camp. So if your family hasn't yet been to the National Events Weekend, this is definitely your year to go. Again, the dates are May 2nd through the 4th, 2024. And to learn more, visit classicalconversationsfoundation.org, and we hope to see you there.
One of my favorite mommy bloggers always says that hard is not the same thing as bad. And I
Yeah.
tell my
Mhm.
kids that all the time. Like, it's hard, but that doesn't make it bad. We can
Yeah.
Mhm.
still love this. We can love hard things. Like, wouldn't that
Mhm.
be amazing? I have my oldest daughter is really, when you're younger, everything feels like a possibility. Like, I'm going to be an
Sure.
astronaut and a mom and a nurse and probably a teacher on Thursdays, right? And so she's she's to that age now. She's like really starting to think her future feels very real to her. And she was like, I am just really wondering how this will work with, my career and if I have kids and this. And I was asking her, I was like, so what have you been praying about, right? How are you feeling overwhelmed by that? And she was telling me that she really feels like I might homeschool my kids one day.
Oh,
And
Hmm.
then she
wow.
goes, and I just need to process that for a minute. Because
Mm.
being like me is like the anti, right? Like, nobody has ever wanted to be like their mom. And now she's 14 and she's like, well, she's not half bad. She might be okay. Um, so, but that happens really, really slowly. And I know
Mhm.
the next conversation that she and I have to have, I can see where it's going. And it's like this hard conversation of like, servanthood. We've been studying Ruth together, and she's just talking about like how Ruth served Naomi, and I'm like, yeah, I always say this is a hard job.
Yeah.
Being a mom is hard. But
Mhm.
she was like, I really feel like I want to love serving my family. And I was like, that's the secret. Like,
Yeah.
loving the hard thing that you have to do.
Mhm.
Like, you can intentionally choose to figure out how to love waking up in the middle of the night and changing diapers.
Yes.
It's going to be trash the whole time you do it. Like, you're gonna have, but you won't stop the bags from coming. Like, they're there.
Uh-huh.
You won't stop like the coffee need, the need for caffeine, but you can choose to love that moment. You can choose that.
Mhm.
That's a choice that ladies make all around the world. And that's where we can find joy in the 2 a.m. wake ups when they're standing right in your face and you're like, how did you even get here? Why are
Yeah.
your feet so quiet right now? But when you get into the kitchen in the middle of the morning, they're not quiet. You're waking me up. Like, that's how we can find joy, is by choosing to love this hard thing that I'm doing right now, whatever it is. An essentials
Mhm.
paper, cleaning up the
Mhm.
backyard, budgeting, blech. That's my husband's
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
That's our sorry.
Yeah, you
For
make me think
real.
of the word just embrace it, because
Mm-hmm.
my kids right now do not like certain subjects or practicing
Mhm.
their piano, and they say, "Mommy, it's just so hard." And I stop them. I found lately I've just stopped them. I'm like, "Oh, it's hard. Yes." And we celebrate it
Mm-hmm.
for a minute. Like, "Yes, we're gonna do something hard, and guess what? Mommy's gonna be right beside you, and I'm gonna help you through
Mm-hmm.
this." And I tell the other kids,
Mhm.
"I need to be with, Lila or Banks, whoever it is, and we work through it together." And I think that's the beauty that we get to go through in homeschooling too, is we get to
Mm-hmm.
be there in those challenges and those hard times
Mhm.
with our kids and lead them through it, show them how to hopefully do it somewhat right, maybe not
Yeah,
perfect,
right.
but give them those interactions with us. And then like you were saying, your daughter thinking about homeschooling her own kids and processing that, she's able to say, "Well, this is how mommy did it. Oh,
Mhm.
I can do this. It might be hard, but I
Mhm.
want to love
Oh,
it."
they're
And
already gonna do it different though.
yeah.
Her kids are gonna eat whatever they want to eat for lunch,
Of
unlike
Oh, cool.
course.
my children who
Fruit
are
Loop.
being so deprived. Yeah, so
Yeah, for real.
So
yeah.
funny.
Well, you mentioned too that you have a favorite mommy blogger, and we're
Hmm.
always looking for resources. So
Mhm.
can you just
Hmm.
give us some of your favorite resources, whether it's a book or a blog, or who is influencing you right now, helping you stay on the track?
Well, okay, full disclosure, I don't like have a lot of mommy bloggers anymore, right? I'm like, nobody
Oh.
blogs about the teenage years because we're in the trenches. No, so
Mhm.
nobody blogs about that because it's just expensive. Um, but I actually have a book right there. I don't know
Yeah,
if I could grab it quickly, but this
you're
is one
fine.
of
You're
my
fine.
favorite. I actually had these out because I just recommended them to a lady at church. But the Mama Bear, have you guys done
Oh,
this?
yeah.
The
Oh,
Mama
I
Bear
haven't done it yet,
apologetics
but
and
it's on my list.
this is the guide to sexuality. Obviously,
Mhm.
most of my children are teenagers now, so that
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
excellent resource to have. And so my kids did. I looked through this, but my kids and I were talking through "Love Thy Body." Nancy
Mhm.
Piercy,
Mhm.
Percy. I
Yeah,
always say her name
Piercy.
wrong. Sorry, Piercy. Yeah, that's a really good book. if you have like nerdy type of teenagers,
Yeah.
it's a bit heady, but we loved it.
Mhm.
But this is my girl. She doesn't know me. We're friends in my
Oh,
head.
nice.
Abby Halberstadt,
Yeah.
M is for Mama. That's the name of her stuff. You can find M is for
Yeah.
Mama
She's
on
got a
her blog.
podcast as well, doesn't she?
Yes, yes,
I
she's really,
follow her.
really. I love her. She is like we're twin brains, you know. We think a
Mhm,
lot alike.
mhm.
I would love to kick it with her one day. But yeah,
Yes.
she is The Heart Is Not the Same as Bad Mom. This book
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
this is my like, oh, you're having a baby and you invited me to your baby shower, even though I'm an old lady. This is the book that I give for that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I love it. Well, I have a quick question for you too. Knowing that you have 5 kids, I have 4 myself, and we've been talking about talking with our kids and all of that. And I am really finding it difficult to find time with each one of them.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? How do you find the time to talk about feelings with each 5 kids, having a life yourself, having a husband, being a mom, like
Mm-hmm.
all of the things?
Yeah. So that is a struggle, right? Because there's only a limited number of hours in the day. But also, I talk about David all the time, but I don't have one of those husbands who's like a whatever dear type of husband. And I
Mhm.
don't have a husband who is like, oh, there's 5 kids in the bed with us. All good. We're just a family. He's like, this is where I sleep with my wife. You have to go find a life of your own, child. And so after like my kids don't get in bed with me. So like that nighttime situation is cut off, right? A lot of moms are like, oh, and then everybody else was asleep and me and this child were just talking. And I'm like, can't do that.
Mhm.
So I have come up with so many systems throughout the years, right? You're like, oh, every week, one day a week is going to be, such and such time alone with that child. And then those are always so short lived because real life is chaos around here.
Yeah.
What works for me is putting out the fires as they burn.
Mm.
So we spend a lot of time just all together, right? You can see, just like when your kids are little, like you can tell, like, oh, you're being clingy right now. You need a hug. He needs to sit and cuddle, right? And or when you're there, your oldest is 8. You can tell, like, you need to hold my hand
Mhm.
because you're acting absolutely insane. I can't even trust you in the parking lot because you're trying to kill everybody, right? Like, those moments. So just putting out those fires as they exist, right? I have daughters. So one of them is being super emotional about everything. Everybody, just get your feet away from me. Oh my gosh, you're so rude. Everything. You always make the oatmeal. I'm never eating your oatmeal again. Right? When I start hearing those things, I'm like, hey, do you want to come to the store with me? My kids they can stay home by themselves now because
Yeah.
Right.
that is a season. Praise
I
God
can't
for
wait.
it. But
One day.
you have
One
no
day.
idea. Yeah. But you want to come to the store with me? And it doesn't have to be this grand like lunch
Mhm.
and dinner, right? But just in the car, you can put on whatever music you want to listen to.
Mhm.
80% of the time, that child who I said, do you want to come with me? Is like, I don't want to listen to music. Can I tell you something? Right? They've been
Mhm.
like waiting for that moment. Or you'll see a child will come in and they'll just sit in my room. And I'm like, all right, hey, I'm about to go in the garage. Do you want to come in the garage with me? Again, that's purposeful to try to create a little bit of privacy, right? Again, 5 people. We live in a normal sized house. So there's not like, we're going to the West Wing. Don't join us
Right.
there, right? So just we'll go into the garage and talk, or in my closet as I'm like looking for an outfit. Just,
Mm.
I try to create those spaces when I see that they need them.
Mhm.
Usually it's car rides, but also there's certain like hard and fast ones. Like every year, our children get a birthday date, and that is
Okay.
when they get mommy and daddy alone.
Mm.
And we go do their thing for their birthday date, whatever that is, and that is like a long period of time. And then also for like the 13th birthday, we do an overnight trip with the child and one parent. And that's
Mm.
Cool.
again just your stuff, whatever you need, whatever you want to talk about. So we do have some like things that
Cool.
won't change that they can always count on. And I know like a birthday date once a year sounds like trash, but
Mhm.
it's not the
No.
only time that they're alone
Yeah.
with us. And they really do look forward to it. And then at the very minimum, they know, like, well, I'll
Yeah.
wait till my birthday date and bring that up. That's super personal to me. But also my kids are really big on writing letters. So
Oh, I
like
love
somebody will
Sweet.
slide a
that.
note under my door and I will
Aw.
read the note. And sometimes it's just like an encouragement to me and their dad. And sometimes it's like, nobody cares about me at all. Right. And so then I'm like, okay, hey, how about you come in here and have a
Uh-huh.
conversation with us? My husband and I have chairs, 2 chairs in our room.
Love
And
it.
more often than not, there's a child in that chair being lectured or lecturing us. So that's how
Mhm.
we try to, like I said, put out the fires as they come up. You can tell. Oh, look at you, squeaky wheel. Would you like some oil right now? So,
Mhm.
Yeah, have you ever found I'm going through this with one of my daughters right now, and she'll just say, "Mommy hates me." And I feel like that's my sign, like, "Okay, you need some time with me. What's really going on?" She says those words that just get to me, and that's my cue, like, "Okay, something is up with her. Let me go talk to her." Do you ever feel like they abuse stuff like that, like with their notes or anything? Because I find that she starts saying it, and I don't know what to do with it sometimes.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Does
So
that make sense?
absolutely. Girls will tend to be expressive, right? And
Mhm.
you're like, huh, that's not. So what I always do is I do remind them, hey, we're not allowed to lie, right?
Mhm.
You can feel how
Mm.
you feel, but we're not allowed to lie because what you're doing right now is you're making a judgment on my character, right? A
Mhm.
mommy that hates their child,
Yeah.
like you're making a judgment and we're not going to do that to me, right? So what you can do is tell me how you feel, explain what you're going through, and I will do my best. If I'm failing you, I don't want to be doing that. So tell me how I'm failing you. But what you're not going to do is lie on me. So that's the hate thing, like she hates me, he hates, we're never allowed to do that. In regards to my husband or myself, because we show you guys every day
Right.
that we love
Mhm.
you. Even if we fail, even if it's imperfect, we're doing our very, very best. So tell us how we can be better, but
That's
you
right.
don't get to lie. Right. So that is from a very young age. I've always like, I'm so stupid. I always correct that one with, excuse me, you're not allowed to say that about my child. Right. So the same thing. If I'm not going to let you abuse yourself, I'm not going to let you abuse me.
That's
That's one of
right.
my
Mhm.
phrases too, is nobody in this world is allowed to abuse you, not even you.
That's right.
And nobody in this world is allowed to abuse me. You're not going to stand here and tell me that I hate you when you literally take all my money, all my time.
Well,
I
You
am being called
literally,
yeah.
out.
I think about you more than you think about you,
Yeah.
right? And I tried my best to always point them back to scripture too, right? Just because
Mhm.
God is not doing exactly what I want in
Mm.
the time I want, how I want it, doesn't mean that the way he sees me changes, right?
Mm.
I'm not unsaved because the Lord lets hardship into my life. So we're not going to act like your status with me is going to change just because we're not eating chicken nuggets. Like that is irrational. So you're not going to abuse me right now. So that's what I would do. I would actually have that conversation because a lot of times we feel like they're so little, but I guarantee your daughter does not want to abuse you. And when you tell her that, like, that is actually abusive to mommy, you're hurting me.
Mhm.
You're using your words as weapons against me. And that's really painful for me. I bet she'll stop. She'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you are making me feel like,
Yeah.
like,
She knows we are not allowed to use hate for anything. Like, if
right.
she's talking about a food she does not like, we don't use that. So, I feel like she uses it because that's gonna get me to
Yeah.
even though she might get punished, it's,
Mhm.
like, worth it to her.
It's
Like, "Well, I'm
Yep.
gonna
escalation.
say I'm gonna hate mommy because I know she's
Yep.
gonna take me by myself, and then I get her by myself now." And so
Especially
that's
at 8. Yeah.
yeah, that's where it's
Yeah.
hard because I know you know better. I know we've
Yeah.
had these conversations, but you're still choosing to do that, and that's not okay. But then I feel like I'm giving her what she wanted because I do take her by herself and we talk. She still
Right,
gets
which
the
is like,
punishment.
do
She still
you
does
do you
it.
withhold yourself from the child? Like
Yeah,
what? Yeah, I don't
it
know.
is
No,
hard.
I would definitely say like, listen, you want to spend time with me and I love you. So that makes me happy that you want to spend time with me. But you don't have to hurt me to
Yeah.
ask me to
Mhm.
spend time with you. You can
Mhm.
just say, here's what I need from you. And I had one child who felt like that meant like a demand, right? Like, I need to spend time with you. Like, drop what you're doing. Let's go. Right. And so for her, that's my number 3. For most people that are listening, they knew that right away if they know me. But she's like, what's the problem? I told you I want a new car, Daddy. Make that happen. I don't see why I don't have that already. But for her, I'm like, you need to give me 3 choices, right? Because it's like, I need to talk to you. And then if I don't immediately turn my back, like, she's crying, like, you're just ignoring me. Girl, I'm washing dishes and finishing up a phone conversation and emailing somebody. Like, my brain can't even shift. And so I'm like, okay, I can talk to you at 7:30 this evening when dinner is finished. I can talk to you on Wednesday before church. We can go be alone, or we can stay up late together on Saturday. Which one would you prefer? And then she's like, I want to do the Friday thing. Right. And so then all week she's like, you're not coming with us on Friday. We're going to have alone time. So that really helps.
No.
Yes. Don't plan an emergency on Friday. Mommy's mine. Right. So that has really helped her since she was that young, because she was the one who would like cry, and she refuses hugs when she gets so irritated. So I remember her being 9, like, you don't want to hug. I don't want to hug. No, like silent, angry tears. So maybe just having a conversation, hard boundary though.
Yeah.
You're not going to abuse me with your words, because it grows, right? All these things have roots. And then you don't think they do until all the fruit starts popping out when they're 15. And you're like, should have, oh dear, Jesus, we need you more than we thought, right?
All the prayer.
Well, Kamilah, we could literally talk to you about this for hours. I have so many more questions in my head, but I'm going to rein it in to one, which is actually a celebration question, because we love to end the show with tissues and confetti. That's what we say. You can hold tissues and confetti at the same time. We've been literally talking about this whole time. It's a challenge, but we love it. How can we throw confetti with you? What are you celebrating in your motherhood right now?
I'm not going to cry. My baby is a senior, right? And just watching him walk into manhood is the most bittersweet. I know bittersweet now. He's making all these calls on his own. He's figuring out his own future. But at the same time, he's still like, can I finish off those chicken leftovers in there? Right. So he's still my baby. But a couple weeks ago, we had to go have a serious conversation with adults about him. And I heard my husband's voice in my head. And so I was like, I'm going to let him be a man. Right. And when the place we were in, all the adults kept looking at me for answers. And I was like, trying to make my husband proud and let him talk. And he did such a beautiful job. When people were coming up trying to shake my hand, he would reach over them and grab their hand and shake their hand. And people were asking questions and he was just answering. And it was just such a little glimpse of the grown-up man that he is going to become. So I still remember the little baby who ate baby charcuterie boards every day for lunch. So that's where I am this year. It's just watching he's my first to launch. So he's all new to me, but.
Well, congratulations. That's a big feat, Mama.
It is.
Good job.
Is. I like him still too. That is
my key.
I really enjoy who he is. That's the other thing. His siblings still enjoy him. They're downstairs right now, laughing and joking together. Which is that's what this was all about for me, is I wanted to be a family. So
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Kamilah.
Thank you, girls, for asking me. Now I'm gonna be sad all day. He's gonna be like, do you need a hug? Is that what's going on with you? Do you need a hug right now?
Talk about those feelings within the
do you need a hug? Do you need a hug? I do. Can I just say one thing before?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. You probably cut it. But
you're fine.
I really don't want to make it seem like feelings are what rule us, right? We've talked so much about feelings. I just want to make sure that we are always having the whole conversation. A lot of our talks about feelings in my house end with well, I'm glad you know that that's how you feel, but it doesn't change this circumstance. I understand that you feel frustrated, but I need you to just write your paper without being disrespectful, please.
Mhm.
I understand that you feel irritated by, and I understand you feel like this was unjust because I'm making you mop again and you mopped last week and it should be somebody else's turn. But I'm asking you to mop without complaint, right? Because
Mhm.
otherwise, we live in a world where, especially as women, where we get nothing accomplished because our feelings are changing and we're upset and we're never actually honoring the Lord with the work that we're doing because we're just doing it all so begrudgingly. So that most of our feelings conversations end with "Thank you, so what?"
Yeah.
In a roundabout, "Thank you,
Mhm.
do it anyway." Especially for girls, I'm constantly telling my girls, you're not going to feel like
Mhm.
continuing to push if you've been pushing for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
Yeah.
My sons, you're not going to feel like going to work. You're going to have to get out of the bed and do it. So I don't really want to discuss this right now, like a lot of it. So I feel like we haven't
Absolutely.
said that, but learning like to postpone feeling conversations is also an important part of having feelings, right?
100.
No woman like greets her husband with, "Hey babe, here's all my feelings," right at the door, and feels like this is such a successful marriage, right? And her husband is like, "I wish you did that every day." That's the wrong
Mhm.
time. There's a time and there's a place. So that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a time and there's a place, and I don't know if y'all caught that, but she was referencing the fall, when you heard her talk about her her daughters and her sons, and I point that out to say that, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is a gospel conversation, and this
Yes.
is a faith conversation, and
Yeah.
there are some things about this that you're not gonna be able to fix this side of heaven, and so I love that you bring it back to that reality because Jesus did fix it, but there's so much freedom in not being ruled by your feelings. You can both
Yes.
acknowledge them and
Yes.
then keep on going.
Yes.
If I woke up in the morning and was like, "You know, God, I just don't feel you in this moment," I would be
Right.
lost. And in fact, I did spend a portion of my time walking with Jesus, letting that keep me on the ground. And it was miserable. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
thankful that he set me free from that
Yes.
mentality. So it
Yeah.
never applies, and it's true that there is a huge pitfall, especially in our culture,
Yeah.
where we are letting the feelings, this is how I feel, dictate
Mm-hmm.
things. And feelings are not evil. God
Right.
created your body with feelings. At the same time, there is a limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
limit.
And if
Yeah.
Jesus is on the throne, that means irritation cannot be.
Yes.
If Jesus is on the throne of your heart, that means like annoyance can't be. So you have to
Yeah.
pick one, like one master. So yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Love it.
Well, thank you for talking with
Thank you,
us
ladies.
today. If people want to find you, Camila, where should they go on Instagram?
Mrs. Mocha Love. That's my old nickname. Mrs. Mocha Love. LUV.
Perfect. Well, thank you
That's
guys
me.
for listening today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye, ladies.
Well, guys, that was so much fun. I hope that you enjoyed it. Camila is hilarious. And honestly, I feel like we might need to have her back on the show again. So if you want to hear her on the show again to follow up on something else that she said, please let us know. You can find us over on Instagram and Facebook at Blessings and Motherhood. And we're over on YouTube, so you can find us there as well.
Yeah. We hope you guys check it out, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. And make sure to share the show with a friend and to subscribe so that next time we release an episode, you'll be the first to know.